ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां रामो राजमणिः सदा विजयते रामं रमेशं भजे रामेणाभिहता निशाचरचमु रामाय तस्मै नमः रामान्नास्ति परायणं परतरं रामस्य दासोऽस्म्यहम् रामे चित्तलयः सदा भवतु मे भो राम मामुद्धर समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम् ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः 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 8th and 9th mantra. भिद्यते हृदयग्रन्थिः छिद्यन्ते सर्वसंशयाः क्षीयन्ते चास्य कर्माणि तस्मिन् दृष्टे परावरे हिरण्मये परे कोशे विरजं ब्रह्मनिष्कलम् तच्छुभ्रं ज्योतिषां ज्योतिः तद्यदात्मविदो विदुः What is the main Phalashruti of studying Advaita Vedanta? That is mentioned in the 8th verse. 3 different results are given. First result is knots of the heart are cut asunder. The main knot is between Jada and Chetana, between consciousness and inert conditioning. That mix-up is opened for good. The best example for this is if there is a colorless crystal and a flower kept next to it. Color of the flower appears in the crystal. And for a long time, you might have thought This crystal is red, crystal is blue, or crystal keeps changing color. Vidyate crystal granthi means crystal is understood to be colorless and different conditionings to be coming and going. The colors appeared on each other because of adhyasa, superimposition. What was not there showed up in that place. So similarly, when he thinks about himself, different colors of the mind keep showing up on consciousness. And mind which is inert appears to be sentient. Not only sentient, it appears to be independently sentient. So Bhidyate Hridaya Granthi means he is able to see mind as inert and as an appearance in consciousness. So two things are distinctly seen by this sadhaka: consciousness and conditioning. In conditioning, we should include ego, mind, intellect, body, and the world outside. Being able to see two things distinctly and understanding that matter is an appearance in consciousness. That is called as Vidyate Hridaya Granthi. If this doesn't happen, the expression of ignorance is samshaya, doubt. Whatever we don't know, we have a lot of doubts about that thing. And the result of doubt is restlessness. A result of doubt is getting stuck. Like if I want to go from one place to another and I don't know the direction, I might keep going in circles and get frustrated also. But if knowledge is there clearly, doubts will be removed. So Bhidyate Hridaya Granthi is the first thing. Second one is Chidyante Sarva Samshayaha. The practical application of this is whenever the mind gets stuck on any topic, our Brahma Vichara should have sufficient strength to bring us out of it. When mind goes in circles on any topic, spirals down or up in any topic, Chidyante Sarva Samshayaha means place yourself in the position of consciousness and then look at that thought. Then look at that topic. It should dissolve away. That topic should be, if not erased, at least distanced from this consciousness. That is called as Chidyante Sarva Samshayaha. Chidyante Sarva Samshayaha, one meaning is you solve doubts one by one. But we have infinite doubts. What we discussed was Shastriya doubts about Jiva Jagat Ishvara. But for a common person, those doubts come much later. Majority doubts are, or majority of his mind goes into Vishayas only. Samshaya is about different things. So Chidyante Sarva Samshayaha means having understood nature of the self, everything other than the self should lose the hold that it had on the sadhaka. If you want to understand it for sadhana purpose, you can say everything else should become irrelevant. But understand it from a sadhana perspective, not carelessness. That is the meaning of Chidyante Sarva Samshayaha. Our Brahma Vichara should have sufficient power to bring us out of samshayas. And how will it happen? By abiding in the truth. If I wake up, all my questions about dream will go away in an instant. So solving dream doubts is not one by one. Solving dream issues is not case by case. Waking up removes all dream doubts. Same way, vyavaharik doubts are removed by self-abidance. Last one was, if ignorance is there, knot of the heart is still made, it is still intact, doubts are there. What comes along with that is doership. I am the doer, I am the enjoyer. And doership, enjoyership with the sense of reality. And with that identity, whatever actions we do, whatever actions we have done, they will bring results. And that result is so powerful, I am not given a choice whether you want to experience it or not. If a person does some action, producing a result, if that result has to come at a later time, could possibly in a later life, he will have to take another birth to experience that result. So Brahmajnanam removes samshaya. Having removed samshaya, it also removes kartrutva and bhoktrutva. Because doership and enjoyership, one lets go of. That is why karma phalas don't come to that jivan mukta anymore. Sanchita karma phala is burnt, agami karma phala is burnt, and prarabdha is falsified. These are the three results of Brahmajnanam. But we should also see it from a more practical side. That Brahma Vichara should have the power to bring me out of samshaya. And sign of samshaya is restlessness. Brahma Vichara should have the power to falsify kartrutva and bhoktrutva. Result of kartrutva and bhoktrutva is future birth. Then, if I want to abide in Brahman, where should I find Brahman? Hiranmaye pare koshe. There is a golden kosha inside Hiranmaya kosha, mainly because that becomes the upalabdhi sthana, distinct expression of consciousness, which is called as Vijnanamaya kosha. Virajam Brahma Nishkalam. Three indicators are given. Brahman, which is devoid of all impurities, Rajoguna, all gunas in particular. That is Virajam. Avidya and Klesha. Avidya and the afflictions coming because of avidya. Brahman is free from that. Brahma means that which pervades all, and Nishkalam means that which is partless. Because it doesn't have conditionings, because it is partless, it is pure. Tat Shubram Jyotisham Jyotihi. It is light of all lights. What was the definition of Jyotihi? Yat Anya Anavabhasakam. That which doesn't need another light to be illumined. Even ordinary Jyoti, this is the definition. Why do we call sun as Jyoti? Because sun doesn't need another light to be illumined. Tube light is called as Jyoti because it doesn't need another light to be known. What is Param Jyoti? Jyotisham Jyotihi? That which doesn't get illumined by any other light. Jyotisham Jyotihi, that is pure consciousness. Tadyat Atmavidaha Viduhu. The one who knows this is called Atmavidaha. And their nature is to keep thinking about Brahma. Brahma Vichara Shilaha. Those who are experts in leading their mind towards the nature of truth. A quality which doesn't come by birth. Just like other qualities have been developed, they have been nourished and nurtured. This quality of leading the mind towards the truth is also nurtured. We will nurture that where we have Mahatva Buddhi. Mahatva Buddhi means that thing which we give importance. If I give importance to body, whatever things are needed for healthy body, I will nurture those practices. If I give importance to sadhana, very quickly, sadhana aspect in my life will be nurtured. If somebody gives importance to Brahma Vichara, in their own eyes, they consider that as supreme. Their personality will be Atmavidaha. Those who are experts in leading their mind towards Brahma. Now comes a very popular verse which is chanted while doing Arati. Same thought it is. Natatra Suryo Bhati na Chandra Tarakam Nema Vidyuto Bhanti Kuto Yamagnihi तमेव भान्तमनुभाति सर्वम् तस्य भासा सर्वमिदं विभाति न तत्र सूर्यो भाति न चन्द्रतारकम् नेमा विद्युतो भान्ति कुतो यमग्निः तमेव भान्तमनुभाति सर्वम् तस्य भासा सर्वमिदं विभाति. Rati means to revel. To revel in the truth very well is called as Aratihi. Aratihi. If we do it with 5 flames, it means I'm reveling in the Lord through all my 5 sense organs. And if we do it with 1 flame, Ekarati, means mind is single-pointedly wanting to revel in the Lord. If we do it with camphor, the prayer is, may this ahankara get burnt just like this camphor. Nothing is remaining. In the light of that knowledge, may badha happen of all conditionings, negation happen of all conditionings. So this particular mantra is chanted for Karpurarti. Natatra Suryo Bhatina Chandra Tarakam. The words we have to carefully note. Sometimes we put Bhanti in the first place. Natatra Suryo Bhantina Chandra Tarakam. Nema Vidyuto Bhati Kuto Yamakni. One is singular. Natatra Suryaha Bhati. That truth is truth is that where sun doesn't shine. Means sun cannot illumine Brahma. Na tatra suryaha bhati. Na chandra tarakam. Moon and stars, they also cannot illumine Brahman. Na ima vidyutaha bhanti. Nor these lightning, which have lot of power, lot of light, but even that lightning, it cannot illumine Brahman. Na ima vidyutaha bhanti. Kutaha ayam agnihi. What to talk about this little flame that I am holding in my hand? Means sadhaka is telling, Bhagwan, I know this is matter of fact. If such great luminaries cannot illumine you, what to talk about my little flame? But still, I am showing this to you so that I remind myself. Tam eva bhantam anubhati sarvam. This word bhantam is not past tense. Bhantam is present continuous. Shatru pratyaya. Bha dhatu Shatru pratyaya becomes bhantam. In Hindi, the meaning is easier to understand. आपके भासमान होते हुए जगत भासित होता है. आपके भासमान होते हुए जगत भासित होता है. I'll try to translate in English. While revealing yourself, you reveal the world. Tameva bhantam, generally how do you translate? First consciousness illumines and then world is illumined. That is also okay. But they are not two separate steps. That step one is consciousness shines. Step two is world shines. So no, while consciousness makes itself known, world also is known. Tam eva bhantam sarvam anubhati. Shankaracharya gives an example. If you have water, fire, which is heating that water, and let's say a person is standing who wants to touch that water. So this water, while it is taking the heat from the fire, is burning the person's hand. Dahantam anudahati. Means on one hand it is taking heat from fire, and on another hand it is burning this person's hand. So in place of water you put ice. In place of fire you put consciousness. And in place of that person's hand you put world. So what is happening with this ice? They are getting illumined by consciousness. While they are getting illumined by consciousness, they are illumining the world. Just like that, water, while it is getting heat from fire, is burning. In the same way, our mind and sense organs, while they are getting enlivened by consciousness, they are revealing the world. Tam eva anubhantam, tam eva bhantam anubhati sarvam. While revealing yourself, you make the world known. Tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati. In your light alone, everything else is illumined. Tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati. Now the good news with these luminaries are, once we know the connection, by looking at reflection, we can shift attention to the original. If we know that water doesn't have heat of its own, and if you find hot water, we can shift attention to fire, which must have heated that water. Similarly, once we understand eyes don't have ability to illumine of their own, whenever eyes are illumining the world, that illumination can be used to shift attention to absolute illuminator. That is the spirit of this mantra, that Bhagavan, I know none of these things are illumining you, but may we use this to shift attention to you. Simpler method to shift attention is this. From world, ask this question, how is the world known? Only when sense organs illumine the world, this world is known. And when you say world, don't take only rupa. Form is illumined by eyes. But what illumines sound? Shrotrendriya. Ear is illumining the sound. And here sun is not involved. Sun example is given only for sense organ of eyes. Whether sun is there or not, mind through Shrotrendriya can illumine sound. But ears don't have ability to illumine on their own. That ability finally comes from consciousness. Now, as long as I don't have ragadvesha towards what I'm hearing, I can shift attention to consciousness. But the moment my mind goes towards what I'm hearing, then it is difficult to shift attention to consciousness. Now let us see the bhashya. Katham tat jyotisham jyotihi iti uchyate na tatra tasmin swatma bhute brahmani सर्व अवभासकः अपि सूर्यः भाति तद्ब्रह्म न प्रकाशयति इत्यर्थः सः हि तस्य एव भासा सर्वम् अन्यत् अनात्मजातं प्रकाशयति इत्यर्थः न तु तस्य स्वतः प्रकाशन सामर्थ्यम् कथम तत् ज्योतिषाम ज्योतिहि इति उच्यते. What is that light of all lights? Another mantra is given. Na tatra tasmin swatma bhute brahmani. Tatra refers to that Brahman which is not different from oneself. See how precisely Shankaracharya writes. He doesn't only say Brahmani. If you say Brahmani, somebody might understand it to be some Brahman somewhere. He says Swatma Bhute Brahmani. That Brahman which is not different from I. Sarva avabhasakaha api suryaha. Sun who illumines everything, that sun cannot illumine Brahman. Means Brahman is not another object in this world which is illumined by the sun. Suryaha bhati. Suryaha tatra na bhati. Tad Brahma na prakashayati ityartha. That sun cannot illumine Brahman. This is the meaning. Na tatra suryo bhati. We don't have to take it literally. Means there is a world called Brahma and that world doesn't have sun. So what will be our understanding? It's a dark world. Na tatra surya bhati is said, right? Not in that way. Not physical light, but it is pointing out to inability of sun to illumine Brahman as an object. Na tatra surya bhati. Saha refers to surya. Saha surya hi tasya eva bhasa. Tasya refers to Brahmana. That sun is known by the light of Brahman. Saha surya hi tasya eva bhasa sarvam anyat anatma jatam. And everything else which is anatma, which is born as anasma, prakashayati ityartha. Tasya bhasa anatma jatam prakashayati. In the light of consciousness, all anatma is known. Natu tasya swatah prakashana samarthyam. Now here tasya refers to Suryasya. Sun doesn't have ability to illumine of its own. Now how will you understand this statement? How does illumination of the sun depend upon consciousness? One meaning is consciousness is substratum. So existence of any anatma, including sun, is borrowed from consciousness only. And the best way to understand this is Look at dream sun. When we go to sleep and we are dreaming in daylight, the dream world also has dream sun. Now, what is that dream sun? Is it independently there? If it was there independently, then when we wake up, we should still be able to find it. We say that dream sun was a modification of thought. And thought depends upon consciousness. Just like dream sun was modification of individual mind, individual waking mind, this sun that we are seeing is a modification of total cosmic mind. But substratum is consciousness only. That is why we say, na tasya swatah prakashana samarthyam. Sun doesn't have its ability to illumine of its own. Means unless it gets existence from consciousness, it cannot illumine. Tathana chandratarakam nema vidyutah bhanti kutah ayam agnihi asmadgocharaha kim bahuna yadidam jagat bhati tattameva parameshwaram swatah bharupatvat bhantam dipyamanam anubhati anudipyate yatha jala ulmuka adi agni sanyogat agnim dahantam anudahati na swatah tadvat tasya eva bhasa diptya sarvamidam suryadi jagat vibhati yatah eva tadeva brahma bhati cha vibhati cha karyagatena vividhena bhasa atastasya brahmanah bharupatvam swatah avagamyate nahi swatah avidyamanam bhasanam अन्यस्य कर्तुं शक्नोति घटादीनाम् अन्य अवभासकत्वात् अदर्शनात् भारूपाणां च आदित्यानाम् आदित्यादीनां तद्दर्शनात्. Later part of the mantra is being elaborated. Nachandra tarakam nema vidyuto bhanti kutoyam agni. That part. Tatha na chandra tarakam na ima vidyutah bhanti kutah ayam agnihi. That if sun himself cannot illumine, what to talk about moon, stars, and these lightnings which are there, they also cannot illumine. What to talk about this flame? Asmat gocharha, that which we are showing, we are seeing, how can that flame illumine you? Kim bahuna yadidam jagat bhati. Then how come this world is getting illumined? Tat tameva parameshwaram swatah bharupatvat. Bhantam deepyamanam anubhati. See, bhantam is translated as or is explained as deepyamanam. This is shanach pratyaya, present continuous. While illumining, while revealing. Means consciousness is that while revealing itself, it reveals the world. Means whenever we are experiencing the world, right there, consciousness is making itself known. That is the meaning of tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam. Parameshwaram Sata Bharupatvat. Pure consciousness which has illumination as its nature. Doesn't borrow illumination from anybody else. Now example is given. Yatha Jala, just like water, or Ulmukha. Ulmukha means burning wood. Burning wood or charcoal. Just like these two things, Agni Sanyogat Agnim Dahantam Anudahati. If they come in contact with fire, having gained the heat from fire, they have the ability to burn something else. So Sanyogat Anudahati. So in the place of water or charcoal, what will you put? Mind and sense organs. They borrow their ability to illumine from consciousness. Chaitanya Sanyogat. Jnana Sanyogat Janati. With the touch of consciousness, they are able to know the world. That is the meaning of Tameva Bhantam Anubhati Sarvam. Anudahati na swataha, not by itself. Just like water doesn't have the ability to burn by itself, eyes and sense organs don't have the ability to know by themselves because they are inert. They don't have light of their own. Tasya eva bhasa. In the light of that consciousness alone, tasya eva bhasa deeptya sarvam idam suryadi jagat vibhati. This entire universe, including the sun, becomes known to us. Yatah eva tad eva brahma bhati cha vibhati cha karyagatena vividhena. This Brahman is known in this way, makes itself known in this way, and the same Brahma in the form of Karya, which is this Jagat, it also reveals this world. Look at the beauty, huh? In the case of fire example, fire, water, and water burning something else, the water and the hand that is getting burnt don't depend upon the fire. You can find fire somewhere, you can find water somewhere, you can find the hand somewhere. But in the main example, it is from Brahman alone Jagat has emerged. And it is Brahman alone which is illumining the mind and sense organs, which have also emerged from Brahman. So there's a big play going on. One witness through the mind and sense organs is as though illumining the world, which is also another form of Brahman only. Vivarta of Brahma. That is why here Shankaracharya says, Karyagatena vividhena bhasa ataha tasya brahmana bharupatvam swataha avagamyate. There is no other light needed for Brahman to illumine. It is of the nature of consciousness. Light word, whenever it is used for Brahman, we should note it is never referring to physical light, not referring to the light of eyes, means light that eye is familiar with, not prakasha. Whenever light is indicated for Brahman, it is consciousness. Tasya eva bhasa sarvamidam vibhati. That is why for ear, it is a light of sound. Consciousness illumines sound. There is no physical light involved. So Jyotisham Jyotihi means that. Nahi swatah avidyamanam bhasanam anyasya kartum shaknoti. You can rearrange this a little bit. Bharupatvam avidyamanam anyasya bhasanam na kartum shaknoti. If a thing doesn't have light of its own, it cannot illumine other things. Now example is given of a pot. Ghatadinam anya avabhasakatvat. Because pot needs another light to become known, that pot cannot illumine something else. Anya avabhasakatvat. Adarshanat. Adarshanat means we don't see pot becoming an illuminator because it needs another light. Bharupanam cha adityadinam tad darshanat. But in the case of sun, which has its own light, now this is physical light. This is physical light. Sun which has its own physical light. Bhautika jyoti, that is the word used. That sun can illumine other objects. So this particular line is just an example to show that a thing which doesn't have light of its own cannot illumine some other thing. Consciousness which is having its own light to reveal objects, reveals sense organ, reveals mind, and through them it reveals the world. Consciousness cannot reveal the world directly. It's very obedient. It will always go through the route of mind, sense organ, ego, pramata. Okay, so this was a very popular mantra, but we have to keep reflecting on what is the essence of it. Now the next mantra is concluding mantra of this topic, of this khanda. But before we go there, there is a very important concept that we have to reflect. This is called as samanadhikaranya. Samanadhikaranya. Another word we are familiar is samana adhikarana. Samana means same, adhikarana means locus. So in a statement, if two words are referring to the same entity, but we are using those two words because of some reason, that is called as samana adhikarana. In a statement, you are referring to same entity by two words because of some reason. That is called as samana adhikarana. If you are using synonymous words, it is not called samana adhikarana because you know that it is only one entity. For example, if you call this table is desk. Table and desk are synonymous words. But you know that they are synonymous. There is no reason to use two words. That is not called samanadhikarana. If you call this pitcher is pot, you know this pot can be also called as pitcher. You don't have any doubt about it. It is not called samanadhikarana. If you call this cloth is fabric, you know cloth can be called as fabric. No, what is the main point in samanadhikarana? Two words are used for a reason to indicate the same entity. Then it is called as samana adhikarana. Now samana adhikarana has two types. One is called as badha samanadhikaranya. Another is called as mukhya samanadhikaranya. One is called as badha, another is called as mukhya. The samanadhikaranya word remains the same. They are referring to the same locus. Everybody with me? Adhikarana means locus. Samana means same. So in a statement, if two words are referring to the same entity, but you are referring or you are using those two words because of some reason, then it is called as samanadhikaranya. And within Samanadikaranya, there are two types, Badha and Mukhya. Now, what is Badha Samanadikaranya? One entity is seen as something else. One entity is seen as something else. Therefore, you are using two different words. So the cause for using two different words is adhyasa. First, you just write it down. When we see the example, it will become clearer. One entity appeared as different because of superimposition. And now you are pointing out through that statement that both refer to one thing. So one is the real thing, second is the unreal thing. One appeared as something else because of superimposition. You are doing badha of that which is superimposed. And you want to point out to the substratum. That is called as badha samanadikaranya. Only one entity is there. It is appearing as different. Therefore, you have to use two words. But essentially, you want to say they are not two, it is just one. Now come to Mukhya Samanadikaranya. In Mukhya Samanadikaranya also you are using two words. But essentially they are referring to one entity. Mukhya means in essence they are one. Then why did you use two words? He says I used two because of conditioning. They appear as two things. The first word also has conditioning. Second word also has conditioning. But essentially both are referring to the same thing. Because of conditioning, I am seeing them as two different things. So the cause for using two words is conditioning. But I cannot do badha of one because essential nature is referring to that same entity. Therefore, I have to use Mukhya Samanadikaranya. So in Mukhya Samanadikaranya, two words are there. Both the words are referring to one entity because Samanadikaranya is common, one locus. But because of conditioning, that one first entity and second entity, they are looking as different. Okay, this is the first difference between both. Second difference is, in Badha Samanadikaranya, the Vachyartha, literal meaning of both the words, is in different degrees of reality. In Badha Samanadikaranya, both the terms are different degrees of reality. In Mukhya Samanadikaranya, Vachyartha of both the terms is same degree of reality. Just note down this difference. Second one, in Badha Samanadikaranya, Vishama Satta, different degrees of reality. In Mukhya Samanadikaranya, same degree of reality. Same Adhikarana. Okay, now you take an example. If I say, pitcher is pot, it is not even Samanadikaranya. Because there is no reason to use two words. You know that both are synonymous. But for some reason, the rope is seen as snake. Rope is seen as snake. And I say this statement, the snake is nothing but rope. Snake is nothing but rope. How many entities are there here? In that, in the statement itself, how many words are we using? Snake and rope. So two words are there. But essentially, how many are they referring to? Just one. Samana Adhikarana. And what was the reason because of which two words needed to be used? Adhyasa. Superimposition happened. 1 appeared as 2. So to remove that superimposition, I have to use Bada Samanadi Karanya. I will say this snake is rope. Now look at the second condition. The status of snake and status of rope is different. One real entity, one unreal entity. So whenever you have to indicate that locus, where one real and one unreal is there, we use Bada Samanadi Karanya. Now come to example of Mukhya Samanadi Karanya. If you say, this is that Devadatta. Saha ayam Devadatta. Ayam Devadatta Saha. Means you knew a Devadatta 30 years back as a little boy, and now you see him in some ashram. Totally shaven head, wearing ochre robes and everything. And you say, Arey, that Devadatta is here. So you say, Saha ayam. Saha refers to that Devadatta whom I knew 30 years ago. Little boy, having totally different features. Height was different, weight was different, facial look was different. And ayam refers to the one who is there right now. But why did you use two words? Because of conditioning. In Saha also there is conditioning. In ayam also there is conditioning. Saha Devadatta, ayam Devadatta. But both these words are pointing out to one person. And you cannot say, I will do Bada of Saha. I will negate that Devadatta. So no. It is the same person. Nor can you say, I will do Bada of current one. Because along with the conditioning, the essential entity is also there. So what you have to do in Mukhya Samanadikarana is understand that one locus by negating the conditionings from both sides. By removing the conditionings from both sides, essential thing is understood. That is called as Mukhya Samanadikaranya. Now look at the second condition. Status of Saha and Ayam is same degree of reality. Both are Vyavaharika Satta. I cannot say this Devadatta is more real. 30 years back whom I see is unreal. This no. Whatever is the reality of that Devadatta is reality of this Devadatta. Okay, this is Mukhya Samanadi Karanya. Now few more examples of Bada Samanadi Karanya. There is one pillar, post. Because of light, it appears as ghost. So if I say this statement, this ghost is nothing but the post. Ghost is nothing but post. Which Samanadikarana it is? Bada. Because that ghost is completely unreal and different degree of reality. Post is different degree of reality than the ghost. If I say this mirage water is nothing but sunray. Mirage water is nothing but sunray. Which Samanadikaranya? Bada. Sunray is real and mirage water is unreal. But they are referring to one entity only. There is nothing separate called as mirage water. That is Bada Samanadikaranya. Okay, silver shell also same thing. This silver is nothing but the shell. Bada Samanadikaranya, you have to do Bada of silver. Now if I say Ghata Kasha is Mahakasha. Pot space is infinite space. With Samanadikaranya? Mukhya Samanadikaranya. Pot space is called pot space because of pot conditioning. And total space is infinite space. So I have to let go of conditioning and understand that pot space is referring to that same entity which is referred to by total space. Ghatakasha is referring to Mahakasha. Now, if the definition examples are clear, let us come to the main point. Whenever we hear this statement, world is Brahman, Jagat is nothing but Brahma, that statement is Badha Samanadikaranya. There is only one entity, Brahma. Because of avidya, because of adhyasa, it is seen as Jagat. Just like the rope is seen as snake, Brahma is seen as Jagat. So how will you point out that rope? You say this snake is nothing but the rope. It is not to say that there is snake and then there is something called as rope. Two words are used to indicate one thing. So when you say Jagat is Brahma, what it means is there is nothing called as Jagat. What is there is only Brahma. Because of adhyasa and avidya, it appears to be second entity. Now if you say Tat Tvam Asi, you are Brahman. Mahavakya says, you are Brahman. Now you are Brahman is Mukhya Samanadikaranya. You, Tat and Tvam. Tvam refers to you, Tat refers to God, Ishvara. Essential nature of both is one and the same. In Tattvamasi, we don't do Bada of one entity. Neither can you say, I want to do Bada of Jiva, nor can you say, I want to do Bada of Ishvara. All we have to do is remove the conditionings from both sides. Jiva's conditioning is dropped, Ishvara conditioning is dropped. Both terms are referring to one entity. That word Samanadikaran is very powerful. Two words are used as though they are two different entities, but their meaning is to point out one. We discussed all this because next mantra is going to say, what I see in front, what I see behind, what I see on my left, what I see on my right, what I see above and what I see down. Everything is Brahma. Now, how should we understand this statement? That there is only Brahma. Because of avidya, it is seen as left, right, top and down. If we miss this point, suddenly we will start thinking, until now they said, don't stretch Brahman in consciousness. Means don't stretch Brahman in space. World is in Brahman. Don't try to see Brahman in this world as an object. And next mantra is going to say, the chair which I am seeing in front is not a chair, it is Brahma. The wall which is behind me is Brahma. You see, you will just chant that mantra. Brahmaivedam amrutam purastat Brahma paschat Brahmaivedam amrutam purastat Brahma paschat Brahma dakshinataschotarena Brahma dakshinataschotarena Adhaschordhvam cha prasrutam Brahmaivedam Vishwamidam varishtham Brahmaivedamamrutam purastad Brahma paschat Brahma dakshinataschotarena Adhaschordhvam cha prasrutam Brahmaivedam Vishwamidam varishtham. Idam Vishwam Brahma Eva. This snake is nothing but the rope. So Vishwa is in the place of snake and Brahma is in the place of rope. Brahma eva idam amrutam purastat. What is there in front is Brahman. Purastat means front. Brahma paschat. What is there behind me is Brahman. Brahma dakshinatah. What is on my right is Brahman. Uttarena. What is on my left is Brahman. Adaha. What is below is Brahman. Urdhvam. What is above is Brahman. Cha prasrutam. What is spread out is nothing but Brahman. Remember, Brahman is not spread out. Whatever is spread out, that is spread out in Brahman. Whatever is superimposed, when it is pointed as substratum, the way we have to understand is superimposed is just a name. It is not a real entity. Just like snake is a name, there is no second entity called as snake. So when they are pointing out front, back, left, right, top, bottom, what it means is there is no another entity called as Jagat. Brahma eva idam vishwam idam varishtam. This world, which is known by different names, it is nothing but Brahman. But we have to keep repeating this point. Whenever we say this statement, we should remember it is not two entities. World and Brahma. Both terms are referring to one entity. Badha Samana Adhikarana. Okay. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Hari Om. There is one question here. Okay, you have to refine your question. If you say Brahma and Brahma, it means totally different things. So think about the question and then you can write it in the next class. Hari Om.